Hi friends, I'm Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my April and May wrap up combined. In April I did not read very much. I finished 3 books in April, which is shockingly low for me. And I think the reason is that I've kind of really slowed down on audiobooks. I've hardly been listening to them the last couple months. Can't tell you why, just kind of not interested in them right now. I've been trying to listen to podcasts, but I'm not really good at listening to podcasts either. But I'll tell you what, I have 0 videos in my watch later list on YouTube, which is shocking and has not happened in a long time. So I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna take it and it's good. Anyways, so you're here for the books, so I'm gonna start talking about the books. The first one that I want to talk about, I don't think I've talked about it yet, and if I did, sorry. But that's Treasure Island and The Ebb Tide by Robert Louis Stevenson? Robert Louis Stevenson. I don't know which one it is. Anyways, so this is a bind up of Treasure Island and another, is it a novella? Novella-ish of The Ebb Tide. So this is Treasure Island and this is The Ebb Tide. So yeah, it's kind of like a novella, I guess, or it's like 100 pages or something. Anyways, geez, stop talking about it. So I read Treasure Island back in January with my real life book club. I don't think I talked about it then, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I did get lost some of the time with the piratey lingo and ship lingo, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I had to use my dictionary quite a bit. But overall, I did enjoy the story. And so I was going to then continue on and read The Ebb Tide, and then I would count that as being a finished book. But it just kind of sat on my nightstand for months, and then finally I picked it up and I read the first chapter and I was like, meh, bored. And so I'm not going to force myself to finish that. So I read Treasure Island, and that was good. So I'm counting this as being read. And now it's just going to go on my read shelf, and I'm not going to worry about reading The Ebb Tide because I didn't really care. The next 2 books, I finished one in April and one in May, but I'm going to talk about them together because it's The Two Towers and Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. And of course these are books 2 and 3 in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And again, these were books that I was reading with my real life book club, and it was my goal to read the Lord of the Rings before I turned 30, and I did accomplish that goal because I turned 30 on this past Monday, the 28th, and I finished Return of the King at the beginning of May. So, good. So this is actually my first time reading these books in my life, which is shocking. I absolutely loved them, and I can't believe that it took me this long to read them, but I think if I had read them sooner in my life, I wouldn't have had an appreciation for them. So, say Libby, it's good. I very much enjoyed, I just love this immersive, intense world that Tolkien created, and I love just the care that he took and his attention to detail, and I love all of the characters. I love all of them. I love my little hobbitses. They are so brave, and I was just so happy, and these books are actually hilarious, especially Legolas and Gimli. Hilarious. And all of the hobbits too, and like Treebeard, and yeah, they're all hilarious. And I love Faramir. Book Faramir is so swoony. And I just thoroughly enjoy these books, and I definitely see myself reading these again every few years from now on, just because they're so good. And I really want to watch the movies again now, because it's been a couple of years since I've watched the movies, so I need to watch them again. This is the last book that I finished in April, and that was Spring Brides, which is 3 short stories bound together. I don't know which is the first book in the series, but there's a series of brides for each season. And so I've read winter and now spring, and I will continue to read summer and autumn. And the authors of the short stories are Rachel Hulk, Lenora Worth, and Meg Mosley. I've heard of Rachel Hulk before. I haven't heard of the other 2. I really enjoyed Winter Brides. I did not enjoy these ones as much. And I listened to it on audio, and this is the last audiobook that I finished. So that's actually kind of shocking as well. And they were okay. Like, the stories were okay. They were kind of cute, but they were also very cliche, and I was mostly bored through some of them. The first one by Rachel Hawk, I think I liked the best, but honestly, it's been just over a month since I finished reading it, and I don't really remember what any of the stories were. So, meh. I will continue on in the series, but I just definitely not memorable. Now getting into May. The first book that I finished in May was Obsidian by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And I read this book in like a week, which doesn't happen to me anymore. So that was fantastic. I won't explain what this series is about because you should have heard of it at least. And if you don't know, go look it up. It's really cool. Sci-fi. And it's been a while since I've been reading sci-fi. And yeah. I was definitely in the mood for it. This book was crazy. Crazy things happen. And my heart broke like 90 times. This series is very harsh. There's a lot of killing. And there's a lot of swearing that's redacted. Which doesn't really make it any better because my brain fills in what the word is. But whatever. But I do really like the story, and I feel like this one especially, it portrays the war because this is basically focusing on the war happening between these two sides, and I feel like it took it and they really focused on the portrayal of war in an accurate way, and not glorifying what was happening and not demonizing one side over the other, but rather both sides are flawed. And the people fighting on the ground are not the people whose war it is, and they're real people too, and they have lives, and they have good things about them and bad things about them. And I really appreciated that about this book. But yeah, definitely would not recommend this series for people who are squeamish, who don't like swearing. I usually don't like swearing. It is redacted, but meh. Whatever. I like the books, so I put up with it. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I finished the series. It feels really good to finish a series once in a while. The next book that I finished is Everyone's a Alien When You're a Alien Too by Jomny Sun. Or in English, Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun. Anyways, so I borrowed this book from my cousin. It is a graphic novel. It's a very simple art style. This one's kind of... So it's just like this. And it's about an alien. His name is Johnny. And he is sent to Earth to study humans. And he doesn't actually ever meet a human in this book. But all of the animals and trees and plants that he finds, he thinks they're humans. And he studies them and lives with them for a while. There's not a lot of substance to this book. It's kind of cute. I know a lot of people love it. I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. I can see why people love it, but I guess it didn't resonate with me the same way that it resonates with other people. It's mostly just like, I want to call it internet philosophy. So like those weird thoughts that people have on the internet. Like, I don't even know what my examples are, but like, do you know what I mean? Not weird thoughts. So like, this is a page. If you're always happy, are you ever truly happy? Or is happiness only something we see in you because we know sadness? And it's just full of stuff like that. Thoughts like that. So I can see why some people like that. It wasn't really for me, but I still am glad that I read it, I guess. Like, it took me half an hour, so it wasn't a big time investment. Not a lot of time lost on that one. So that was okay. The next book that I read was From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. And that is a companion to When Dimple Met Rishi, I think. Although I don't even know if there's a connection between the two. Oh, Twinkle was in the first book. Anyways, so this book follows Twinkle, who is an aspiring director, and this book is written in a journal style, her writing letters to famous female directors. And it's going through her last year of high school, and she's making a movie with some friends for their talent show at the end of the year, I think it was. And there's a boy that she has a crush on, and he doesn't know that she exists. And she thinks that if she makes this movie, then he'll notice her, and stuff kind of takes off from there, I guess. I got this as an ARC from Neck Alley, and I did really enjoy When Dimple Met Rishi, but I think I'm just not that interested anymore in contemporary young adult, especially books set in high school, like where they're in school. And I felt like this book was kind of immature. The way that Twinkle acted and her responses to a lot of things, and the way that she thought about things, it was just so frustrating to me because it was immature. Yeah, the way that she handled situations with her friends, it was like, wow, just use your words and deal with this situation. And I didn't enjoy it very much because I was bored most of the time with these little petty high school problems when my problems are so far removed from that already. Like, I graduated 13 years ago, so I'm just not really part of that, invested in that anymore. Like, I can't relate. Not that I'm against reading YA, and I still will read YA, but I definitely am more picky about it now, and I just need it to have more substance, and this didn't have substance. When I was 16, 17, I would have loved it. I would have definitely been a book that I would have enjoyed. But yeah, it's not for me anymore. And I'm not saying it's a bad book, it's just not for me anymore. The writing is good, I guess, but also more immature. Should I just keep saying the same thing over and over? Let's move on. The last book that I finished in May was Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. And this is just a little book that is 10 ways to unlock your creativity. Yeah, it's just a list of 10 things and then he expounds on them. And I really enjoyed this book. It's a fast read, but it gave me a lot to think about. I feel like it's something that I need to read right now because I've been feeling very creative lately, and it definitely inspired me. I would very highly recommend this to creative people, and it doesn't even mean like, like painters or writers, but like people that make YouTube videos or creators. So if you're watching this and you make booktube videos, like, I would suggest reading this. I just really liked it. I found myself, once I was done reading it, I wanted to sit down and play with my watercolors. And yeah, I really liked it. Oh, and actually, I should show you. Austin Kleon, he is known for doing blackout poetry. And I found a book, an old book of mine. It's actually Home from the Vinyl Cafe, this is a junky one that I found from the thrift store. And I read it, and then I bought a new one after that because I just, me in the Vinyl Cafe, I just love it. So I actually did a blackout poem after because I felt so inspired. And I'll hold it like this. Maybe you can read it. Read it if you pause it. But yeah, so that's my first blackout poem. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I quite enjoyed the process, so I will be doing more of them in this book. It was a lot of fun, actually. But yeah, so those are all of the books that I read in April and May. And I forgot to talk about the first book on my list. The first book on my list that I finished in April was Glory in the Ordinary by Courtney Racing, and I listened to that on audio. Christian nonfiction aimed towards stay-at-home moms. I feel like our culture makes stay-at-home moms feel like less than, like they're not fulfilling a purpose because they just stay at home with the kids. I don't agree with that. But I thought this book also would focus more on just like work in general and like how working matters. But this was definitely aimed towards stay-at-home moms. I am not a stay-at-home mom, so I did not find a lot of value out of it, I guess. But there were some things that she talked about that I felt like were good food for thought. But for the most part, I didn't really connect with it. But I do feel like I want all of my stay-at-home mom, friends, family members that I know, I do want them to read it because it was good. It just wasn't for me. Definitely not the target audience on that one. Anyways, so I've been reading a lot more again recently. I have quite a few books on the go. So hopefully my June wrap up, I will have more to share with you. So those are all the books that I read, and if you have any thoughts of them, I would love to know. Leave a comment down below. Let's talk about them. And I just thank you very much for watching this video, and until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.